Selection Sunday. We predict conference winners in the men's division, and we talk about the biggest moves of the NFL offseason. All of that and more coming right. It's the Water Cooler. Where else would you rather be? Good morning and welcome to the Water Cooler, your home for USC Sports Banter. I'm your host, Thomas Johnson, joined alongside Anthony Bettino and Hayes Flanagan. We are finally closing in on Selection Sunday. Let's first take a look at the women's side with Water Cooler Talk. USC women's basketball fell to the UCLA Bruins last week in the Big Ten Tournament Finals to put the Trojans at 3 losses on the season. There are now 6 teams with 3 or fewer losses heading into Selection Sunday. So there are 4 number 1 seeds up for grabs. I think we could all agree that UCLA, as the Big Ten champions, deserves one of them. But do we think USC deserves one of the other 3?
Oh, hands down, yes. I don't think you could really argue anything else. Do I think that that UCLA loss really does anything for their resume? Like, no. I think that the Iowa loss is the loss that's haunting them the most at this point, and that's the loss.
Not even the Notre Dame one?
Honestly, no, because Notre Dame's like a decent team. Like, Notre Dame has a decent resume to back themselves up. I think that the Iowa loss, just because it was Caitlin Clark night, that people are saying like that's why they took that loss. I think no, they were just tired. They've been traveling the whole entire month of the back half of January, the early half of February. They were exhausted at that point. So honestly, yes, they deserve that 4 seed, and I'm looking forward to having 2 home games for the Trojans to start off the tournament.
So you said 2 things there, and I do agree they do deserve a 1 seed. But the game against Notre Dame, they were absolutely exposed by one of the best teams in the country. After that game, how can we expect them to go in deep into March Madness after we know they get tired? That's why they lost to UCLA.
They just beat
that was also in November.
Twice.
That was in November.
That was such a long time ago. Like I agree that they deserve a 1 seed, and I agree that Notre Dame loss was bad, but I don't think that is indicative of what they're going to finish in March. I mean, they beat UConn. That was the number 3 team in the country. They beat UCLA twice. I mean, sure, it was regular season games, and Bruin fans are super excited. The Trojans can't finish in the postseason.
Yeah, Lauren Betts is like, it's like, hello, you got shut down 2 games in a row. Like,
at home as well.
Yes.
Sure, the Notre Dame loss was bad, but we're talking about a top 4 team in the country. Like, that's what we're discussing right now, is whether they're a number 1 seed. They're going to be able to host no matter what. That's a given, but I do think they deserve a number 1 seed.
I can agree with that. I definitely do agree they deserve the 1 seed. Their resume has done that. Like we said, they beat those top teams. They beat UCLA twice in the regular season. They beat UConn. They beat these really good teams. But my fear is just, can they go the distance? I think they definitely do deserve the 1 seed. But we saw in March in a Big Ten tournament, they're struggling against these small teams like Michigan, Indiana. They struggled against Iowa because they were tired.
But they won.
All I'm going to say is that Big Ten tournament was just very indicative of how tired that team is at this point in the season. Their legs were just not working in that second half. You saw them just slowly fall apart. Shots were not going in. Juju was 19% in the second half. Like, when does that ever really happen? To the Trojans.
Well, they'll get more breaks in the NCAA tournament.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you're not
day after day after day. In the NCAA tournament, obviously, round of 64 is either Thursday or Friday. Round of 32, I think I mixed that up. But they'll have at least 1 day in between each game, no matter what. So I think that extra rest day will really, really help the Trojans.
Also, when you play at home, you have all your home facilities. You're in Galen, you have your trainer, you have all the nutrition you need. Like, that is a huge advantage to having this number 1 seed. You have 2 games at home, and then you go on the road, which right now it's looking at Spokane's going to be their landing spot, which is pretty close. Which then you look at, they had to go all the way to Indy for what? They went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, that's a quick trip. That flight is not an easy flight.
And, okay, well, let's look at the top 10 now. So UCLA, obviously, at number 1. And USC kind of locked into, at worst, a number 2 seed. Which of these teams would you not want to see on USC's quarter of the bracket? So before obviously the Final Four Elite Eight.
Honestly, South Carolina. If that SEC title game told you anything, it's that they're just heating up. I don't want to see them until, like, the finals, if I'm being real. I would love to see UCLA on our side. That'd be a great Final Four matchup. Do you think it's probably likely? No at this point, but I would love to see them.
Well, I mean, like, UCLA's only lost to one team this year.
Yeah.
USC twice.
Twice, actually.
But we'll see if UCLA can actually reach the finals. I agree, South Carolina is not a team, but USC did lose to Notre Dame. It was pretty handed, but I think if the Trojans match up against the Fighting Irish yet again, they can handle business. That was an embarrassing loss. You know Lindsey Gottlieb's not going to let that happen again.
I did just kind of just talk badly about that game, but I do actually agree. I think that was a very big learning experience for them that kind of set them on a good trajectory for the rest of the season. So I think if they do face Notre Dame again in the postseason, they'll learn from their mistakes and they can rebound and not limit turnovers. But honestly, after beating UConn and kind of surviving the game that last few minutes there, I'm a little scared of UConn in there because I think they're coming back with a vengeance if we have to face them again.
Well, yeah, let's just talk about UCLA, 2 losses on the year. South Carolina, UConn, USC, Texas, and TCU, only 3 losses. So just it's going to be tough no matter what down the line. It's a really top-heavy year. I'm not really worried about USC until the Elite Eight when they'll have to face off against the 2 seed or 1 seed. That's going to be really fun to watch, though. But while the women's regular season is over, the men's division is currently in conference tournaments. The SEC and Big Ten have their quarterfinals today, while the ACC and Big 12 enter their semifinals. So who do y'all have winning each conference tournament?
Let's start off. What conference do you want to talk about first, Thomas?
What conference do I want to talk about? Well, the Big Ten is currently, I want to talk about the Big Ten. You know, USC in it. Michigan State currently facing off against Oregon. We'll try to get a score update. I want to talk about the Big Ten first.
All right. In that case, you know, Steph isn't here today, which means 2 things. There's no cursing on the show, and there's no Maryland talk. So I got to fill in for one of them. Give me the Terps. I think Maryland is taking the Big Ten, and for one reason specifically, Derek Queen. That guy is an absolute dog. He's an animal. He averaged about 15 points and 9.2 rebounds per game in the regular season. I see this guy taking the Terps all to the end of this tournament.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was pretty animated.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan State struggling right now, if that's telling you anything. It's that the Big Ten, it's pretty, like, competitive. Like, I would say these teams, all of these teams have been, if you watch USC versus Purdue last night, you can tell, like, that once they come to this tournament, it's a pretty even playing field. Everyone's trying to show their best to get into the tournament. Like in Ohio State, who is a bubble team, lost early in the Big Ten tournament. Like, now they're most likely not going to be in the tournament, which sucks for them. But I'm going to take Purdue. I love watching that Purdue game last night.
They
Matt
nearly lost
Painter,
to USC. They nearly
I
lost
know,
to
and
the
that's the
number
kick
14.
in the butt they needed.
The washed Boilermakers?
No. Braden Smith, I was just talking about how I don't think he's that good, but do I think he could take the Big Ten title? Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Like, I that's kind of a crazy statement. I honestly, I want Michigan State. I think they will beat Illinois in the finals. I think Illinois makes it all the way. They're on a really good winning streak, 4-game winning streak, 20-point win over number 15, Michigan, 8-point win over your Purdue Boilermakers. So
My
I
only
like
issue with Illinois is their chokers. Like the USC game, they played at home.
That was so long ago.
That was a month ago.
We're talking about March. You got to get hot in March. Illinois is hot right now.
Well,
and I really do like Illinois to take down the teams they're going to play and then make it to the finals against Michigan State. So.
And what do you think happens in the finals?
I think Michigan State wins. I already said that. But I do like Illinois. I think they're going to get hot.
They're in a tough match against Oregon right now. They might lose this right now.
Michigan State against Oregon. That could happen. I think Michigan State pulls it out, though. Dana Altman, he's not it for me. But let's talk about very, very quickly SEC. Who do we think wins the SEC conference tournament?
Give me the Gators. I think we're going to see some chomping down going on those nets. Look, the Gators, I know it's really hard to bet against Auburn right now. They're looking like possibly the best team in the league. The Gators, they may not be a three-point team, but they got like 5 or 6 guys that can really make up for all of that and can get shots in with needed. They got bigs who can really hold it down in the paint. They can stretch the floor out, and they got experience. They have Elijah Martin, Will Richards, Walter Clayton. That's just to name a few. And the biggest thing in these tournaments, look at how UConn won. They won because they were experienced together last year. They knew how to play together.
You want to talk about experience? Auburn is
It's that the average age on Auburn is 23 years old. The average age on what was
The
that?
Thunder, I think
it was the
they're
Thunder.
older than
The
the
average
Thunder.
age on the Thunder is
That is
24
true. I did see that. That is true.
And the thing about Florida is they're going to have to get through probably Alabama in the semifinals.
Yeah, that's
Auburn has to play Tennessee, and the Volunteers played Auburn pretty tough in that first matchup, but Auburn beat them. I can't see either team between Florida or Alabama getting out of the semifinals and then going to beat Auburn. I just can't see it.
I would agree. This Auburn team, if that Alabama game showed you anything, they're ready to fight. They're ready to claw tooth and nail. It's Johni Broome's hopefully last season. I don't know if he can edge one more year of eligibility in college basketball, but he's ready to take an SEC title, and so I'm taking the Auburn.
Auburn Tigers.
Who's in the final then? Auburn and who else?
Don't matter.
Don't
matter. Florida, Alabama, don't matter. Auburn. Auburn's winning the whole thing against one of those two teams. It doesn't really matter. I'd pick Auburn over both Alabama or Florida.
I would agree with that.
Okay, well, we talked about the
You're
conference
outnumbered.
winners, but let's discuss individual award winners. Let's tune into some college basketball pundits before tossing it over to MJ Newsom.
The chase for the 2025 Wooden Award has been one of the best two-man races we have seen in modern college basketball history. It is a true study in contrast, but for all the ways their paths differ, their results don't.
Even after going 30-14 against another conference opponent, Johni Broome still not the favorite to win National Player of the Year.
Advanced freshmen in every facet of the game that Duke's had. And they've had some unbelievable freshmen here. I'm not saying he's the most talented or, Jason Tatum. There's been Kyrie, there's been Jason Williams. There have been some great freshmen here. But what he's doing on a competitive level, he's the most competitive freshman I've seen.
And we'll start with Cooper Flagg, who people called the main event in Durham, the ACC Player of the Year. The ACC Freshman of the Year has had such a remarkable season, and what makes him so good is his versatility. Let's take a look at it. Such a good downhill scorer. He can score on all 3 levels, down the hill to the bucket, puts it in against contact, and when he used that down the hill driving, catch a defender cheating, he'll can the mid-range shot. And he can use that sweet stroke as well from the free throw line to extend it beyond the perimeter to knock down a 3. Such a tough cover offensively scoring, but also because of his passing. He's a beautiful passer. There finds Caleb Foster backside wing for an easy cut. This one is great. He draws the defense in because of his ability to score, kicks it to the wing, Isaiah Evans, catch and shoot 3, and then easily finding Tyrese Proctor curling down the hill for an easy layup. His passing, his scoring is great. He leads Duke in all statistical categories, but what sets him apart is his athleticism. Misses the bunny, pulls it in left-handed, and it goes back up and scores offensively. 3 minutes later in the same game, he gets beat backdoor, pins it off the window, and gets the rebound. Put those two together, he gets the steal on one end, and then the big-time slam on the other end. Cooper Flagg might be the #1 pick in next year's NBA draft. A generational player in the freshman phenom. But let's head to the 5th year out of Auburn, Johni Broome. He's not the same athlete as Cooper Flagg. He's a very patient player, and he's going to take what the defense gets him. You can see the easy floater there, but he's great out of the pick and roll. Can slide to where the defense isn't, and he can find the open spots on the floor. And that 6'10 frame allows him to finish through some contact. Here against the bigger Matthew Hout against Florida. Put it in, plus the foul. And then he's great in the paint. His post presence is unbelievable. His spin move is so savvy. Watch the patience here. Reads Amori, go up on the mid post, spins baseline of the block for an easy score. But it's not just to put it in the bucket. He gets the offensive rebound, collects himself, finds Miles Kelly, open catch and shoot corner, one of the best shooters on the Tigers. He does it offensively, but he does it defensively. A shot disruptor there against Florida, and then a shot denier against Memphis and Maui back in November. And this is one of my favorite plays of the year for Johni Broome. He's off the ball, help defender, comes off and pins Sion James off the window. An absolutely incredible play by Johni Broome. And now look, the numbers do not lie. Cooper Flagg, 19.5 points per game. He's got the upper hand there. Double-double for Johni Broome. He's shooting north of 50%. So the numbers are there. Cooper Flagg, like I mentioned, the freshman phenom. Johni Broome has been around for a minute. Now what the numbers won't tell you is how you have led your team throughout the season. Duke and Auburn, both really good teams. Duke did beat Auburn back in December, but you look at Duke's resume. Playing in the ACC, a bit of a down year for the conference this year. Only 4 ranked wins as opposed to Auburn. Leads all NCAA in quad 1 victories. Auburn, the best team in the SEC. People have called it the best conference in college basketball history. And for me, I'm going with Johni Broome as your player of the year. Our guy, Adam Everest, he's going to love it. Don't get it twisted, though. This Birmingham boy is always going to say Roll Tide. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about big NFL offseason moves and discuss the future of Aaron Rodgers. All that and more when we come back.
Not a system player. I am a system. But what does that system look like? Does it exist? Is the system broken?
I got a message specifically for Robert Saleh. Now, Bob, listen up. I want you fired.
It's safe to say things got personal in Boulder.
Go New York, go. It's Jalen Brunson. It's the Knicks. It's Derrick Rose, but it'll do.
Perfect. That's our show.
Welcome back to the water cooler. I'm now joined alongside MJ Newsom and Anthony Bettino. We only talked basketball in the opening block, so let's talk some football now. NFL free agency started up this week and a lot of movement happened. My Seahawks signed Sam Darnold after losing Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. The 49ers lost a lot of big pieces, and the Bears made some big moves to bolster the roster around Caleb Williams. What move do you guys think had the largest impact on the league?
You know, I'm going to be honest. I think Caleb is going to look a lot better with that new people around him. I think he's going to be protected a lot better, and I think it's going to give him a much bigger opportunity to get some time to release that ball and actually find people and get some good targets and get some good touchdowns in.
Well, partner, you said that earlier in the last segment you were, filling in Stefano's place today to talk about Maryland. I wore the green tie for Stefano today because I want to talk about the New York Jets. Guess what? They got a new guy at the helm. His name is Justin Fields, and I actually think this could be beneficial. Give me a second.
Wait. You're talking about Justin Fields
I am
in the year of our
talking
Lord 2025?
about Justin Fields in the year 2025. And here's why. I think Justin Fields, of course, when he was with the Bears, had a little bit of scrutiny underneath him. He wasn't exactly praised. He went to the Steelers, had a weird year this year with Russell Wilson coming back. Now he goes to the Jets, where things were not exactly hyped up for him. It's the Jets, and no disrespect to the team from New York. They're not the best franchise in the league.
Give him all disrespect. Give him all the disrespect you want.
This man is a giant, so we understand how you feel. But there's not a lot of riding on his shoulders. And you know what the great thing about it is? Old Ohio State teammate Anthony, I know you're going to love this. He gets to reunite with Garrett Wilson. And I think that is
showing
big.
Ohio State highlights. You're showing us college highlights.
But it's big.
This man's been in the pros for how many years?
Well, here's the thing. Derek Carr and Devontae Adams wanted to reunite for so long. Why? Because they played together in college. Give Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson a chance.
Did that happen? Did
it
end
really
up going well? Did the Raiders do well?
It's the Raiders. It's different. But
Let
me go further. Let me speak. So aside from Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields going together, I do think that Justin Fields' rushing ability is going to help Breece Hall. And I'm not saying these guys are on the same level as the Ravens and Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. But look, listen. But look at this.
That is laughable.
Look at the season that Derrick Henry had. He was able to get a lot of the load off his shoulders because of Lamar's running ability. Justin Fields can run the football. Breece Hall, a very down year last year because Aaron Rodgers could not move in the pocket. You give Justin Fields a guy that can run. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but I'm saying there's a chance that Justin Fields could fare well in New York.
I mean, Zach Wilson was a good rushing.
No, he's not Justin Fields, though.
Yeah,
he's not. And he doesn't have Breece Hall. Like, I'm telling you, this could work. Give it a chance. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but it could work.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be.
Yeah, it's not going to work. Well, okay, look. As much as I love the good OH, look, man, that's yesteryear. That is long ago. It's not going to work in the pros.
He's going to have comfortability with Garrett Wilson.
I really like Fields. I really want him to succeed. I was really hoping he could be a good NFL quarterback, but I just don't see that happening. And after being relegated to the bench, it's so hard to come back from that. And I know we've seen that last year with Sam Darnold, but I don't see Justin Fields as a Sam Darnold cornerback. I don't see him as like a Baker Mayfield who can thrive in a new system. I think Justin Fields maybe can do well in a system, but that system is certainly not the Jets.
Yeah, it's not the Jets. Like, if he moved to a better team, like, sure, I could agree with it. But what moves would y'all still like to see happen in free agency?
The Giants need a quarterback. Are you kidding me? They right now have one quarterback, and that's within the last week. And who is it? It was a flash in the pan, and the reason the Giants don't have a generational quarterback. If Tommy DeVito didn't win those 3 games, they probably would have drafted Jane Daniels or Drake May. They have nobody right now. Who's going to throw to Malik Neighbors? Nobody.
Well, so who's your who's
They
your
just
pick?
need a quarterback. They need to pick someone up.
Let me show you something real quick. You want Shadur Sanders?
Hey, that's a draft move. That's down the line. But we're going to stick with football for our next topic. And I can't believe Stefano is not here today because his New York Jets are at the crux of our great debate. Let's get into it. The Jets recently released former MVP Aaron Rodgers. The 4-time MVP is looking for a new home after 2 poor years with the Jets. He's currently 41 years old. So the question for us is, and this is kind of a multifaceted question, A, does Aaron Rodgers still have something to prove in the league? And B, should he just retire at this point?
I mean, I would say there is nothing left for Aaron Rodgers to prove. I mean, he's won 4 MVPs, Super Bowl and an MVP, 10 Pro Bowls, 4 All-Pros. He is 7th in passing yards, 5th in touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers cannot do anything more, outside of maybe win another Super Bowl, to accelerate his legacy. He has been one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. And that's pretty, I think, set in stone. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my book. Now the question, or the answer to your second question, should he retire? He doesn't want to keep playing football or not. I think there will be a team that is willing to go out on a limb and start him because he is Aaron Rodgers. If he wants to keep playing, why not? But if he doesn't want to, he has had a good enough career. He's more than happy to hang him up.
Is he muddling his legacy?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Really?
No.
Okay,
you can't say he's muddling his legacy when Aaron Rodgers, what you see in his entire career.
Yeah, but it's like
He's off a torn Achilles. He's 41 years old.
Yeah, I know, but
if he keeps playing, it's more impressive.
It's souring a great career.
I disagree.
You never want to end on a bad note, and he's ending on a bad note. Like I can't see him regaining his MVP form, his back-to-back MVP form. Yeah, exactly.
That's the point.
That's the point.
It's okay. He can retire, but he could still play if he wants to. Like, if he wants to play and be happy, let him do it.
Let him do it. But
who's he going to play for? There are 3 teams. It's
the
either
Vikings
the
would sign
Giants,
him.
the Steelers, or the Vikings. One of them is perpetually mid. No matter what happens, they're going 10-7 with 2 crash-out wide receivers. The Giants are the worst team in the NFL on the field and off the field. And the Vikings, he's just going to be tutoring JJ. What's left for him to do? He's just going to tarnish his legacy, and we're going to go out remembering him as a washed quarterback.
No, that's a terrible take. No offense. If I'm the Vikings, I would love him to mentor J.J. McCarthy. Because J.J. McCarthy, in my opinion, system quarterback. We saw it at Michigan. I don't really think he did anything special there. But if you learn from Aaron Rodgers, get a year under your belt to learn from who I think is one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history, that is going to be beneficial. Yeah, somebody will take Aaron Rodgers.
But we could see Aaron Rodgers has been a terrible teammate. In his career, he's not a good guy. You really think he's
Michael Jordan wasn't a good guy?
Yeah,
wait. Michael Jordan was not a good guy.
That's not a good Aaron Rodgers to Michael Jordan.
The Bulls have been in the gutter ever since he left. MJ,
Kobe Bryant wasn't a great teammate. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, but
you got to be a great teammate to be
you're
great.
Asking Aaron Rodgers to mentor J.J. McCarthy. That's what you're saying. He has to be.
You don't think that Kobe and Jordan mentored other people? So you don't have to be a great teammate, but you can be a good leader. Those things are different.
Do you think he's going to want to mentor JJ at this stage in his career?
Probably not, but he could.
But he doesn't want to, he's not going to do it well.
Maybe
Knowing that guy only does things well when he cares. And if he does not care about JJ, he is not going to help him out at all.
All I'm saying is Aaron Rodgers is one of the most successful, most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen graze a football field. If he wants to keep playing, somebody will take a limb on him. A, because I think he can be a somewhat competitive starter, and B, because he can mentor a young quarterback.
We're not disagreeing with that.
Yeah, I think that's not the crux of our conversation, MJ. We're talking about whether he should, not whether a team would.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. He can if he wants to. I don't think there's any reason why he. I mean, sure, he can. I think he has the ability to. If he wants to keep playing, why not? But if he keeps playing, he's not going to muddle his legacy. That's not going to happen. Look at the stats. It's not going to happen.
I think for him, if it's a 1-year thing, fine. You're not muddling your legacy. This has been a 3-year ordeal, and
he won 2 MVPs back to back 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
That's
but people are going to remember
in his late
3-year
30s.
stretch.
No,
I'm remembering it right now. I'm thinking about me from 5 years. I'm going to remember this.
How does he come back from this stretch on the Jets, terrible, and then say he goes to the Steelers or the Giants, and then it's just terrible, and that's how he goes out.
Because he's
That's
41 and
muddling
towards
his
Achilles.
career.
That happens to people. Antonio Brown, do you remember him as a great receiver or a washed-up receiver? You tell me.
I remember him as a crazy person on Twitter.
But he was one of the best receivers in NFL history.
Sure, but I remember him now. I remember the end of
Remember
his
what the
career.
guys did when they were good. Come on.
All right, well,
give him the benefit of the doubt.
Let's move on from someone everyone hates to someone that everyone loves. Jason Sudeikis and Ted Lasso are coming back. It's time for final memos. And I'm going to have MJ and Anthony join me over here at the sideline. Apple TV announced this morning that Ted Lasso Season 4 is in the works. It's going to be pretty exciting. In my opinion, I'm a huge Ted Lasso fan. He's moving on from Richmond FC, now coaching a women's club. Not really sure if it's going to be the Richmond women's team, but how excited are y'all for another season of Lassoisms?
Well, I know I am absolutely juiced, but could Ted Lasso ruin his legacy if he keeps coaching and doesn't do well? I'm just messing with you. I'm pumped about Ted Lasso, though. I've been waiting for a while, and what a show. I'm excited.
To be honest, I'm gonna be real here. I actually have not watched Ted Lasso, but
The door's that way.
I'm gonna have the doors that look. But now this no season, I think I gotta start doing it. But Thomas, what are you thinking?
I'm really excited. It's weird for me because it's like at the end of season 3, he pretty much wrapped everything up. He was moving back to Kansas City, and I know the first episode it's gonna be him in Kansas City. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's the women's team. I think they're focusing more on the characters. I know Hannah Waddingham's coming back, Juno Temple. I'm excited. I don't know.
That'll be good. Now, question real quick. I think we have time. Do you think when Ted Lasso and this is maybe a spoiler for you, but when he wakes up in the plane very end of the last episode in season 3, was everything a dream or did it actually happen? I don't know if you've heard that debate before.
Wow. I don't know, but that is all the time we have today for our entire cast and crew. I'm Thomas Johnson, and we will see you next time on The Water Cooler.